continues to lie. He continues to spread misinformation, and he has no intention in stopping. So under his charge, even reproductive health services are being endangered. RFK Jr. is a clear danger to seniors, to children, to our most vulnerable, and even to the unborn. The American people do not deserve to have their health endangered by an HHS secretary who thinks he knows better than the experts. This guy has no background whatsoever in science. He has no background whatsoever in medicine. So can you imagine the unmitigated gall of him to have fired the CDC director, who was a doctor, who the administration said was qualified to do this job? And not only was she fired for failing to follow his pseudoscience, but what we know is that because of his lack of leadership, he caused other experts to resign from the CDC. And trust me, these are serious people. Unlike RFK Jr., who is very unserious and unqualified, he is now jeopardizing our health by causing these real experts, the ones who, by the way, led our country through the anthrax time. We're talking about scientists who led also with swine flu. These are real experts and real scientists who are now leaving. So I've said it before. We are repeating again today that RFK Jr. must be fired. He must resign. I'm asking everyone to join us in our efforts to urge that this would happen, to join the resolution that I am filing today, along with Senator Wyden and many others, Senator Baldwin and others, that we are urging that he be fired or he resign for the good of our nation. So it is.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Eric Poliak. I'm the Executive Director of 314 Action. We're the leading national advocacy group for doctors and scientists in public service. We hold dangerous leaders accountable, we stand up for science, and we make sure scientists have a seat at the table. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. isn't a scientist or a doctor. He's a quack who turned HHS into a megaphone for conspiracy theories. Just this week, he praised vaccines while taking credit for containing a measles outbreak that he helped cause, while firing actual scientists and gutting the CDC. RFK Jr. is the arsonist who got put in charge of the fire department, and he's making America sicker. This is not just about politics. This is about science versus quackery, health versus harm, truth versus conspiracy, and 314 Action will always stand on the side of science. Our next speaker, RFK Jr. is a danger to us all, and that's why he needs to resign. Our next speakers show what leadership rooted in science looks like. The Democratic Doctors Caucus is leading the fight with science, facts, and compassion. We've worked alongside them for years, from senior members like Dr. Ami Berra and Dr. Raul Ruiz, to leaders we've partnered with since their earliest days in public service, including Dr. Kim Schreier, Dr. Kelly Morrison, Dr. Herb Conaway, and Dr. Maxine Dexter. Dr. Dexter has been at the center of that fight. From the start, she stood with us for science, truth, and public health. She shows why physicians must shape policy at the highest levels of government. It's my honor to introduce Representative Dr. Maxine Dexter from Oregon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here, and thank you so much for bringing us together. I am Congresswoman Maxine Dexter of Oregon's 3rd. I'm a mother, a lawmaker, and the first pulmonary and critical care physician to serve in Congress. As a physician, we all took an oath to do no harm. Today, that oath compels me, along with the entire Democratic Doctors Caucus, to call for the unequivocal resignation of RFK Jr. To list the harm that he has done on the American public in its entirety would require us to stay here all day. From dehumanizing people with autism to suggesting that antidepressants cause school shootings, the record is as long as it is appalling. The horror reached a fever pitch last week when RFK Jr. fired CDC Director Dr. Menares. Dr. Menares is a dedicated public servant. She's a distinguished microbiologist. She represents exactly what RFK Jr. cannot. Someone who is committed to putting science over politics. Her dismissal has unleashed a wave of outrage. At least 4 CDC leadership officials have resigned in protest. And just this week, more than 1,000 current and former employees across HHS joined together to demand Kennedy's resignation. 1,000 public health professionals, past and present, warning us that they are no longer feeling that their job is to do the work of keeping us safe, that we cannot trust the CDC. As a physician, as a mother, and as somebody who has dedicated my life to protecting human health, I cannot and will not stay silent while our public health institutions are dismantled, while trust in science is corroded, and while American lives are put at stake. But let me be clear, this is not just about one man. This is about whether we, as members of Congress, will stand up for truth over lies, science over conspiracy, and the health of American people over political games. So today I'm not only calling on RFK Jr. to resign, I am calling on my colleagues in both parties to summon the courage to act, to restore integrity at HHS, and to send a clear message that in this country, science will not be silenced. Thank you now. I'm very honored to introduce. Oh, very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Woo! Thank you, Dr. Dexter. So our next speaker will be Senator Chris Murphy.
Well, thank you very much all for being here. Thanks to my great and heroic colleagues in the House of Representatives. We don't have as many doctors in the Democratic caucus and the Senate as you have in the House, but we certainly have a lot of parents. John and I both have 2 school-age children, and we know that every day that goes by, as we watch the CDC and HHS spiral out of control, be put more firmly in the hands of radical conspiracy theorists, our children's health is at risk. RFK Jr. says that there's no real risk in this country from infectious disease. Tell that to the tens of thousands of Connecticut residents who died, who perished at the hands of the COVID virus. This is a really dangerous moment for this country. And I think we owe a great deal of thanks to the heroic leadership at CDC who has chosen to speak out, who has chosen to tell a really dangerous and very scary truth. I just want to read you a couple quotes, short quotes from Dr. Descalz's resignation letter. It's an extraordinary letter. Every single member of the United States Senate, Republican and Democratic senators, should read it. He says, I am unable to serve in an environment that treats CDC as a tool to generate policies and materials that do not reflect scientific reality and are designed to hurt rather than to improve the public's health. Having worked in local and national public health for years, I have never experienced such radical non-transparency, nor have I ever seen such unskilled manipulation of data to achieve a political end rather than the good of the American people. Those are extraordinary statements, but it tells you what is happening at CDC today. The radical political judgment of RFK Jr. and his conspiracy theory crowd being substituted for the judgment of scientists and doctors, putting all of our health care at risk. We are at risk today, but imagine if there was to be another outbreak later this year. Imagine the chaos and the havoc that would be wrought in this country if science was replaced with conspiracy. I just want to end by making it clear that this has nothing to do with politics. Not everything here in this building has to be right or left, blue or red. This is just right or wrong. And in the last 24 hours, some of our Republican colleagues have begun to mildly speak up I don't really understand much of what John Kennedy said, and says, but he called the CDC and the HHS a goat rodeo. I don't really know what that is, but it doesn't sound good. But we need more than criticism. We need our Republican colleagues to stand up and say that it's time for RFK Jr. to go. We need our Republican colleagues to go to the White House and demand that the president clean house and put science and medicine back in charge. We will continue to speak up, but this really shouldn't have anything to do with your political stripes or who you are politically loyal to. We are at a moment of decision for this country. I think the country will learn something today from the Secretary's testimony, but it's time that both Republicans and Democrats stand up to protect our kids before it is too late, before the CDC and the HHS have gone fully, unrecoverably off the rails. With that, let me introduce my great colleague who's been speaking up on this matter strongly over the last few days, represents the CDC, Senator Jon Ossoff.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Senator Murphy. Thank you to my colleagues. Thank you to the hosts of today's event. Mr. Kennedy never should have received so much as a hearing in the United States Senate. So obviously unqualified and unfit for this office, is he? He never should have been confirmed by the United States Senate, and he needs to resign. It is one thing to be a skeptic or a reformer. It is quite another to be a fool and a wrecking ball. And the destruction of the CDC in Georgia, the systematic dismantling of American public health is putting children and families across the country at risk every single day. This is chaos. It is out of control. And every day this continues, more and more Americans are put at risk by Mr. Kennedy's radical and incoherent ideology. I defend the CDC not just because those who work there are my constituents, but because it is the most important disease-fighting agency not just in the country, but in the world, with unmatched capabilities and responsibility. And the CDC has been systematically demolished since Mr. Kennedy was sworn in. Agency morale is at rock bottom. A quarter of the workforce has been pushed out. It is an agency known for its tenacity and precision and capacity that is now totally in chaos by design. And every day this continues, the damage is compounded. It is time for Mr. Kennedy to resign. He has demonstrated his incompetence. This is gross mismanagement, unforgivable mismanagement that cannot continue. And I join my colleagues today in calling for the Secretary's resignation. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm Congressman Ami Bera, Dr. Ami Bera. I always will defer to my good friend Senator Murphy and Senator Ossoff here. But look, here's the deal. A lot of us spent time going to undergrad to medical school, residency, sometimes fellowship, sometimes spending time in the lab. We learned about the scientific method. We learned about looking for truth, looking at data, evaluating it, and then making decisions. The oath we take when we entered the profession of medicine was to do good, to do no harm, and to help our patients make the best decisions for them. That's why I'm so proud to stand with my Democratic doctor colleagues. But you know what's shameful here? Our Republican doctor colleagues should be standing here with us right now. They took that same oath. What we've seen from day one with RFK Jr. is he's done harm. He's not done any good, and he is taking away a patient's right to choose those vaccinations, to look at credible health information. So when folks have been asking me, it's like, what should we do? It's like, I never would have said this. I would not listen to RFK Jr.'s CDC because he's hollowed it out. He's put conspiracy theorists in there. The CDC director, the folks that resigned, they are doing what's right. They're standing up for the American people. This is shameful. Now, Senator Bill Cassidy and I were colleagues in the House. I like Dr. Cassidy. Dr. Cassidy, you took that same oath. You're in a position today to ask some really hard-pointed questions. Please do it. Do it for America's patients. And it's time for us to stand up. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. It's about the American healthcare system. In the 7 months, 8 months of the Trump administration, they've dismantled a patient's ability to go see a doctor if they get sick. They're going to put so many patients at risk of going bankrupt because they're going to lose their health insurance. They've taken the gem of public health, the CDC, what the world looks at for guidance on vaccines, on how to handle public health issues. They've dismantled it. The FDA that protects us, that makes sure the drugs that are coming to market are safe and effective, they've dismantled it. The NIH, that is the cutting-edge scientific research institution that never has been a partisan issue, that has always had the full support of Democrats and Republicans, that has been searching for cures of cancer, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, not partisan issues, not Democrats and Republicans, just looking for cures to make America healthier again. Well, they've dismantled it. It is time for RFK Jr. to go. And, you know, I don't normally give compliments to President Trump, but, you know, Operation Warp Speed, getting that mRNA vaccine into the arms of folks, getting those COVID shots that were safe and effective and saved hundreds of thousands, millions of lives across this world and in the United States, that was a crowning achievement. President Trump, RFK Jr. is dismantling your biggest achievement as president. You ought to call him into the White House, call him into the Oval Office, and tell his ass to get out of there. Sorry about that. Thank you. And let me introduce my colleague, Dr. Raul Ruiz, who's been fighting his whole professional life